Welcome to this segment. Let me ask you this. Are you in a situation where you're maybe a parent or you're a coach or maybe you're a leader and you're looking for ways to transform your success? Maybe it's your mindset, maybe it's your behavior, and a whole lot more. And or are you in a situation where if you're a coach or a leader, would you like to have some tools to help get more out of the talent you have? Well, if so, you are going to love the segment we've got today. I've got a friend, I've got a client of ours. Her name is Cathy Helin, and she is amazing. She partners with athletes, parents, and coaches to help build confidence, inspire happiness, and success along the way. She's a wife, 1A, a mom, 1B, an entrepreneur, 1C, and she's also a Hall of Fame college athlete. And so you want to talk about someone who walks their talk and also can show you the tools to be able to go out there and be a better leader, a better coach, a better parent, leading your young athletes and or your team members. She is certainly someone for you. Cathy, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. So good to be with you here. And I'm excited about our conversation today to dive into a few different perspectives. But I know you have coached thousands and thousands of young athletes, and you've been running an amazing company called Northern Services in Minnesota for, well over almost 2 decades or whatever it is now. And the company's over 40 years old. Like, what are some of the big mistakes that you see most people make with leadership and coaching, young athletes even? What would you say?
I think the biggest mistake is they don't recognize the importance of working on yourself versus trying to fix everything else. The moment you put your foot in the sand and you decide to do the work on yourself is the moment when things start to shift in your life. And I've seen it time after time after time, whether it's in business, sports, parenting, relationships, all the above. It comes into a big play.
Yeah, and I know you've had a fascinating journey from Hall of Fame athlete at University of Minnesota in Crookston. Yep. And then coaching young athletes, high school, college, all, everything in between, plus, being an entrepreneur, building young and old people to be their best selves. Why are you doing what you're doing with Bearcat Coaching, Bearcat Mindset?
Why am I doing what I'm doing? I know that Bearcat Coaching is because of the younger me who didn't have any confidence. The only place I did have confidence was on the court when I played basketball. And I started to recognize as I'm coaching these athletes and coaching basketball for 20 plus years, speaking to that younger self of learning these tools at an older age and going, if I would have had this when I was that age, how much different my performance, life, confidence, and that kind of thing would look. But, the other thing is seeing people suffer in the things that they don't realize. And if I can help other people get out of their own suffering and continue to build. And I just think of like the whole ripple effect, right? If this kid learns this or this parent learns this, they're going to teach it to their children, or that athlete's going to teach it to their teammates or their children. And we could just continue to help grow people in confidence, happiness, all those things that we talked about.
That's amazing. And as you're watching or listening right now, can you see your story potentially in Cathy's? Maybe when you were younger, maybe, confidence or so on. And then you find a place that is your zone, your place. Like in her case, she mentioned being on the court. I know for me, it was being on a field and on the court, all the fields and all the courts as well. And so as you're thinking about this for you, as you're watching, like, what do you think would have to happen for you to, one, be your best self, but two, to be your best self as a leader / coach / mentor for whether it's yourself, whether it's your kids, whether it's your team, whether it's your business and the team that you run, right? Think about that. So Cathy, as you have been on this journey for so many years, like let me go to maybe a damaging confession. A cautionary tale. What are some of the big mistakes you've made over the years, and what lessons did you learn that our viewers and your listeners can get from that too?
Well, we're all not immune to mistakes and learning, and that's the greatest thing about Right. You're right. And that's the most important thing is that, trying to teach people that it's important to make mistakes because that's how you learn and grow. Early on in business, when I started working with Greg, when an employee would leave or a customer would be upset, we'd immediately go on the defense and be like, it was something with them instead of self-reflecting and going, okay, that just happened. How do we get better? Just like exit interviewing the employees that leave you. What did you love about us? What did you not like about us? What things? When you're constantly trying to level up, then you're constantly improving. But when you're placing blame and not taking ownership, you're going backwards. And that was one of the hardest lessons for me in particular, was not getting defensive or putting blame, but ultimately taking responsibility of, okay, so what am I going to do different? As an athlete, I had those moments too, where, you're like, but I've been working so hard and I've been doing all these things and I should, rather than being present in the moment of where you are and being grateful for the progress that you have made. It changes your whole perspective and shifts things and allows you to play at a higher level when you can be present where you are and grateful for the opportunities that you've had.
And speaking of gratitude and the places you've been and plus the places you're at, right?
Yeah.
You've had such a powerful impact on so many different types of athletes, parents, coaches. What's a story or two of someone that comes to mind? If you're able to share their full info, great, but if not, no big deal. But just a couple examples of like where they were before, some of the common struggles, and then some, the transformation that you got a chance to help be a catalyst for that change, right? And that positive progress. What are a couple that come to mind for you?
Yeah, I've got a young hockey player I'm working with, and within a matter of just a few months, she went from panic attacks on the bench, coming off the ice if she made a mistake, to freaking out after games if she didn't perform at the level, to someone who has control of themselves. And coaches are starting to notice and send the parents text messages about, wow, I can't believe how far she's come. Performance level going up, to making the top team. And I'm not saying that it's guaranteed you're going to make the top team or top level, you're going to score this many points, but it is in correlation. Like your performance level goes up when you start to understand the regulation of emotions and the tools that are behind that, and making sure that you're keeping yourself grounded during those high pressure situations, and doing the work outside. Like my best clients are the ones that are relentless about taking notes or performing in our sessions together just as they work and performing on the court, ice, field, whatever that is. So that's one story. I also work with teams, so sports teams. One in particular, this was 3 years ago, and I've continued to work with this team year after year. They keep having me come back. But this particular junior college, their head coach was my assistant coach in college, and that's how the connection was made. But the year that I started working with them, they had several different catastrophic events going on with their players, stuff that you would never imagine 18, 19, 20-year-old going through. And we kind of shifted our session to work on, moving past limiting beliefs, healing different things. And it created a safe environment for them to have empathy for each other and get to know one another. And they kept implementing the tools, and as the season went, and pretty soon, they started out the season rough. Pretty soon, as the season continued, they kept winning. They kept winning to the point that they made the national championship game for Division III junior college. And I had an opportunity to go watch them. And the difference between them and the other team on the court was their cohesive and togetherness and their ability to stay calm when things got chaotic. And there were some chaotic moments in that game. And watching the other team point the finger versus the team that I had coached come together as one unit, and they ended up winning that national championship. Their coach got coach of the year. One of their players got player of the year. And at the end of the season, they all went and got tattoos together. That's how much they had become closer. I'm not saying that's what you should go do if you're on a team, disclaimer, but a natural, I hope most of us get an opportunity to be a part of one of those teams that are really special, where you have that connection. And what I love about the sessions is that it allows players to open up and be comfortable with each other and grow with each other. So that was a big, definite stamp on like, this is what you should be doing, Cathy, and definitely my soul's purpose. But to see them succeed, it wasn't me, it was them. They kept stacking and building and holding each other accountable and working hard. And that's ultimately resulted in their successes.
And as you're watching or listening right now, like what would shift for you if you had a team that could break through limiting beliefs, create more cohesiveness, be able to operate at a high standard in high pressure situations? How would it change the game for you? How would it change the game at home as a family with your young athletes? Or if you're running a business right now, being able to do just that? Well, if so, you are going to love what Cathy's going to share next. Cathy, if you were to share, 1 to 3 walk-away strategies that someone, like whether they're dealing with limiting beliefs or they wanted to build, more cohesive teamwork or communication, some of these common things that, lots of teams struggle with, or a tool in the toolbox. We were talking before this interview about a situation that you're dealing with where there's a coach who's a high performer, but really only has one tool in the toolbox, and that's kind of to be like a Mike Krzyzewski yeller versus
Yeah.
someone who has Socratic or both. Like it's not a one tool model today in the world because every human being's different. So you have the floor. What would be 1 to 3 strategies our viewers, our listeners who run a team in business, who might be a parent with family and or a coach? What are 1 to 3 strategies someone could apply today to be just more effective as a leader?
One strategy would be to journal after every, well, for sure games, but practices as well. You can learn so much from journaling. Sometimes our thoughts get really big in our head, and once we start to write them down, they kind of like fizzle out, and you start to make sense of what's going on, and you start to ask, is that really true? Did I really feel that way? And then also within that journaling is to write down 3 things you did well and 2 things you can work on. It's harder for people to write down or think of things that they did well, but when you force your brain to create those habits, you start to create a momentum that goes in the right direction versus always constantly being critical of ourselves. I find that with a lot with high level performers and coaches, parents. I have a lot of entrepreneurial parents. They're high performers and they're very critical. So that would be the number one key. The other thing is I have a lot of parents come to me and they're asking for me to coach their child, which is wonderful. And they have these concerns about their kids, whether they're anxious, they don't have any confidence, maybe they have a little bit of anxiety or whatever they have going on. And I always ask the parents, how much do you worry? What is your anxiety like? Or not even to label that, but like when are you anxious? And a lot of times they say all the time, or I do worry a lot. When you are a parent or a coach of a team and you show those characteristics that you're worried about your athletes having, it's a sign that you need to work on yourself. Understanding that the importance of, yes, we want to see our children be successful. I have 4 children of my own and I'll do anything for them. But I know that if I don't work on this person right here, they're the ones that are going to suffer. And so it is so important for you to work on yourself and do that work right now. I always say, when's the best time to plant an oak tree? Right now. Get it done. So that would be a second strategy. A third strategy is just breathing. When you're in a moment of you feel that spiral happening, is to ground yourself. I have a technique I call reset and rise that I teach all my athletes, coaches, parents, and it's a really important tool. I use it every day, but just how you can ground yourself in the moment. What I mean by grounding is that you can bring yourself back to the place. When things get intense, when things get high, even as parents, when you're watching games or players, when you're in games, our emotions tend to like rise and skyrocket if we don't have the tools. And so when you have the tool of grounding and bringing yourself back to, why am I really here? Is it to actually get that win? Is it to actually see my kids score this many points? We all know that's not the reason why. You just want them to be happy. You want to have fun and enjoy it. And so when we have a tool to ground ourselves and bring ourselves back, and you could just do simple box breathing where you do 4 seconds in, hold it for 4, out for 4, and then hold at the bottom for 4. Just one simple breath work like that helps a ton too.
That's amazing, Cathy. As you're watching or listening right now, how do you think it would shift for you as a parent, as a leader, as a coach, as a mentor to one, to be able to get clarity just by journaling and diffusing emotional situations, recognizing what you're grateful for, what you're doing well? And what if you were able to do that consistently, day in, day out, week in, week out? How would your momentum shift? How would your mental game shift in what you're doing? Number two, what would happen for you if you also took the leadership role of being selfish first so you can be the best selfless leader you can be by working on yourself, right? Tuning in and identifying, like, where are you worried? Where are you anxious, etc. And then number three is this process of reset and rise, to be able to breathe, to be able to stay present, to stay in the moment, and also let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let God let go. Cathy, this is awesome. Now, I mean, I know there's so much more I really would love to share. We could spend hours together, and we have literally.
Yes, we could. Yeah.
If someone wanted to reach out and get in touch with you, learn more about you, learn more about how you help leaders, how you help parents, how you help young athletes, how you help coaches, become better versions of themselves, to eliminate stress and anxiety, and also be in a situation where they build more confidence and clarity in this process. How can people reach you? Where should they go?
Yeah, absolutely. My website is the best place to go. You can book an appointment right on there. It's bearcatmindset.com, and that's BEARCAT, mindset.com. Right there, you can book an appointment with me. We'll do a free one-on-one call and strategy and see how I can help you, or if there's any tools that I can help you in this moment in time. And then we can kind of go from there. Also on there is a link to my book. That has been a huge tool for athletes. And I've had parents reach out to me going, I think I needed this book more than my child did. So there's a link right on there.
I know you've got it.
Yeah,
Show your book.
I have it right here. Yeah, it's Champion Your Future. I wrote this book for athletes, mainly high school and college athletes, but I've found that middle school athletes use it as well. And just some great strategies and takeaways from there that could be very helpful.
And I want to challenge you, as you're watching, as you're listening right now, if you're looking for a way to get greater confidence, clarity, direction, as a coach, as a leader, whether you're an athlete, whether you're a parent, whether you're a coach, and if you're running a company of team members and you want to be a better leader, I encourage you to go check out Cathy's work at bearcatmindset.com. All the links are going to be down in the notes. bearcatmindset.com. Grab a copy of her book on Amazon. Go there right now. You can go to bearcatmindset.com. You'll see the link for the book, and also schedule a call with her. She can help you see the blind spots, see around corners, help you connect the dots so you can have more confidence, clarity, and direction to be your best self, to be a far more efficient and effective leader with the tools that you can meet the people on your teams where they're at. Some people are motivated by challenge. Other people need compassion. There's a big difference between two styles, and there's about 12 other styles as well. Well, guess what? She can give you the tools to help do that. You want to learn more? Go to bearcatmindset.com. That's bearcatmindset.com, and get her book. So Cathy, what is something, I know we're going to wrap up here in just a short period of time. What is something I should have asked you, or you wish I would have asked you, that we didn't get to cover so far?
Why my company is called Bearcat Bearcat Coaching. Everybody asks me that, like, it's such a weird name. My maiden name is Bear, Behr, and my first name's Cathy, and it was a nickname I was given in high school that carried on to the basketball court. And a lot of my coach called me Bearcat, my closest friends. I still carry that nickname today. But the biggest thing about Bearcat, when I thought about it, was what I embodied when I was Bearcat. And when I started to work on myself every single day in confidence outside of basketball, I started to embody Bearcat outside in those areas and everywhere in my life. And that's why it's Bearcat Coaching.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Now, what are 1 to 3 action steps that you hope our viewers and listeners take from our time together?
One is recognize that, we get a coach for everything in our life, for batting lessons, for shooting, for conditioning, lifting, understanding the importance of a coach for your mind, that it's not a weird thing, that it is okay to reach out for help or have a coach in your life to help you with your mindset, whether you're 12 or whether you're 40 or 60 or even 100 years old. It is, life keeps coming at us. And it never stops. And I always tell my clients, you're never there. Like there's never a moment where you're like, I'm at the top of the mountain. It's a constant work in progress. And when you recognize that and know that it's just a constant work on yourself, life just keeps getting better and better. Are you looking for more strategies or more things?
Are you looking for more strategies? So I want to challenge you as you're watching or listening right now. Come back to this episode, be able to, apply what Cathy shared with you about journaling, identifying what are the 3 things you're grateful for, the 2 things that you've done well today, to be able to self-reflect, be selfish, to be selfless as a leader, and like, where are some of the blind spots for you regarding anxiety, worry, and some of those other things, as well as the breathing process of be able to reset and rise. How would that change the game for you? How would some of what she shared about leadership change the game for you? Like, what would happen if you were a hockey player, where maybe you got that queasy stomach before game time, and or even if you made a small error and then, you went into a spiral, and like, what if you could transform out of that? Or what if you could go from an average team to a national championship team with true team unity, camaraderie, and all on one page? How would that impact you? Well, guess what? It's not going to happen if you do nothing. If you do nothing, you'll get nothing. On the other hand, if you want to get a glimpse at what Cathy's up to, I encourage you, go to bearcatmindset.com. That's bearcatmindset.com. Get a copy of her book. If it suits you, schedule a time with Cathy to learn more about how she may be able to help you. Now, 2 last questions, Cathy. You brought up learning and always be growing, etc. Who are a couple mentors, if you will, that you feel in the last year or 2 have impacted you the most, and why?
Besides you, Dan? Yeah, I know Dan and I have known each other for, has it been 3-4 years now?
Yeah.
Yep. And just perspective on life in general. But another great mentor of mine is Mike Aguilero. We've been in his world for about 8 years and completely changed my perspective. And when you talk about your story and how you got to where you are, I started in a service business. I was always in sports and coaching, but the fact that led me into Bearcat Coaching and self-development, that's one. Another one is Dr. Don Wood has had a profound impact on my life too, just exploring the brain and understanding what our subconscious mind can do. And it's opened my eyes to my own self, but also allowed me to coach my clients at a whole nother level. So those are, a couple major impactors that have had a profound impact on my life. And thank you, Dan, for all you've done for myself and my husband and our businesses and what we're able to do because of your coaching as well.
It's a pleasure. It's an absolute pleasure. And that's what makes it easy to do conversations like this and also champion someone who's as talented as you guys as well. And speaking of you guys, if Greg were in the room with you right now, and obviously you're both independent, you're both great, amazing human beings and leaders, what would you thank Greg for as far as how he shows up for you as a husband and leader to allow you to pursue your dream and vision of building Bearcat Coaching and having this impact?
Well, you didn't tell me I was going to get emotional on this. Greg and I have been married for almost 16 years. We worked together for 15. And within the last year, I've stepped away from our service business full time to do Bearcat Coaching. I've never been so supportive in my life by someone who cheers me on every single day, who comes with the same energy and he pushes me to be a better person. So thanks for making me cry, Dan. But yeah, I just want to thank him for being my steady source and always knowing that there's more within me every single day.
Every single day. And as you're watching right now, you get a glimpse of the personal side. I've had the luxury and good grace to be able to get to know Cathy and Greg for, a couple of years now and us work together. And with them, what you see on the front, this is also what you see in the back. And it's also why their companies have grown 100% year over year, why Cathy has an amazing impact the way she does, because what you see is what you get. It's genuine, it's authentic, it's real. And if you're looking for genuine, authentic leadership, not because it's a slogan on a wall or it sounds cool or in play today and out tomorrow, but if you're really looking for that, then I encourage you, go to bearcatmindset.com. Go to bearcatmindset.com, learn about what Cathy's got available, how she can help you shift your leadership game as a coach, as a parent, as an athlete, as an entrepreneurial leader. And if you're looking for that, she just might be able to help you. So go check out her work. Thanks for being with us today, Cathy. Thanks for sharing your journey, your story. And I want to challenge you as you're watching. Take action with what Cathy has shared with you. Now is the time. When is now the best time for you to champion your bigger future? Why not now? Why not you? Go. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you soon. We'll see you on our next episode coming up around the bend. Bye for now.